Hello, my gurus, 500 level students. I want to welcome you to another class. Very quickly, we'll be looking at another topic, which is titled Computer Hardware. I remain your facilitator, Primo MO Excel, and don't forget to like, don't forget to share this video. Okay, all right. So very quickly, we are looking at the topic titled Computer Hardware. Now, when we talk about computer hardware, what do we mean? We're looking at the physical or the electromechanical components of a computer system. Those parts you can see, those parts you can touch. Okay, that is to say, computer hardware refers to the physical component of the computer system that you can see, that you can touch, that you can use to perform various tasks. Now, these components work together with software, okay, to process data and deliver what we call meaningful output. Okay, hardware can be broadly classified into internal components, external components, and peripheral devices. Okay, let me quickly talk about the internal component. Those parts you cannot see except to unscrew. All right, the chassis, as in when you unscrew the bodies of the chassis of the computer, that's when you can see them. Example talks about like your panel or your panel board, your main board, your system board, or your motherboard. Okay, your heat sink or your processor fan. Okay, your different slots, your ISA, your PCI. Okay, your internal hard drive. Okay, all these things, your CMOS battery, your RAM, okay, and your ROM. All these things you cannot actually see them except you unscrew the bolts and the nuts. You understand? The chassis, that's where you can see them. They are hardware, but they cannot be seen except you unscrew those nuts. You open your computer system, that's where you can see them. We call them internal computer hard components of the computer system. Those are the internal components of computer hardware. Then the external components are those ones I can easily see without even touching anything, like the keyboard, the mouse, the monitor, the joystick, the light pen, the speakers, and so on, the power button. Okay, all these things are the external hardware component of the computer system. So now you know the difference. Okay, all right. Then for peripheral devices, there are other devices that are attached to the computer system unit. The moment I attach any gadget to my system unit, it becomes computer what? Peripherals. They are also computer hardware, but they are devices that are attached, all right, to perform extra function. Okay, okay. I attach that device, okay, to do that. All right, we call them computer peripherals. So that will take us into examples of computer hardware. Okay, we have different parts of computer hardware. I just mentioned them: the mouse, the keyboard, the heatsink, the what is it called? Your VGA, your sound card, your motherboard, your processor fan. All these things are examples of computer hardware. Your mouse, your keyboard, your light pen, your monitor, and so on. They are all examples of computer hardware since I can see them and I can touch them. That takes us to the categories of computer hardware. Now, in terms of the categories, though there are about 6 categories, but 4 are of utmost importance. Don't forget the input devices, the output devices, the storage devices, and the processing devices. Other two, like the communication devices and the primary and the peripheral devices, are secondary. Don't forget that. So we have 4 primary components and we have 2 secondary components. The primary components, I'm going to start with the input devices. These are devices used to communicate, interact, or input data in the computer system for effective processing. I want to communicate or interact with my computer. I want to input data in my computer. I want to enter data into my computer system. I want to give instructions to my computer system for effective processing. For me to do this, I need an input device. Example, the keyboard, the mouse, the scanner, the microphone, the joystick, etc. Even the light pen, they're all examples of input devices. So do not forget that. So I said input devices are devices used to communicate, interact, and input data in the computer system for effective processing. Then we have the next, which is processing devices. In the word processing, they help to convert data to meaningful information. These are components responsible for processing instructions and executing tasks. All the instructions you give, these are the components that execute them. They ensure that those tasks are what's implemented to the latter. Example is your CPU, that's your central processing unit, and even your graphic processing unit, your GPU. Okay, we have other examples like the register, the cache, okay, the motherboard, okay. All these things are other examples of processing, like the RAM, the ROM, and so on. They are all examples of processing devices. Okay, so don't forget, I mentioned 2 key ones: the CPU and the graphical processing unit. Don't even your control panel and your ALU. That's the sorry, I wanted to say your control units, your CU, even your MMU, your main memory unit. They are all processing devices. Your what is it called? The ALU, the arithmetic and logic unit. They are all examples of processing what devices. Don't forget that. Now that takes us to number 3, which is storage devices, like your flash drive, your zip disks, your floppy disks, your HDD, that's your hard disk drive, your SSD, your solid state drive. They are used to keep or store process information either temporarily or permanently. Is that clear? Even the RAM and the ROM falls under this category. Okay, they are devices used to store data permanently or temporarily. You understand? Example is your hard drive, your solid state drive, your random access memory, your read-only memory, and even your flash, your USB flash, your floppy disks, your zip disks, and so on. Okay, so all these falls under storage devices. That takes us to the next one, which is known as output devices. Do not forget, we are still talking about what computer what hardware. All right, on the computer hardware, we are on output devices. Now, for output devices, from the word output, they give out information that's processed data, either as hard copy or soft copy. Hard copy is an information that will be printed out on paper or any other material, any other physical material. While soft copy talks about information that is in the computer system. There are devices that display or produce the result of processed data. Example is your monitor, your printer, your speaker, your projector, etc. So don't forget that those are called output devices and their computer hardware. Okay, then number 5 is the secondary hardware, okay, which we call the communication devices. From the word communication, we talk about your NIC, your network interface card, your modem, your router, your switch, and so on, your what's it called, your hubs, and so on. All these things are examples of communication devices. They are devices that enable communication between computers or between the computer and other devices. Okay, I said these are devices that enable communication between computers or between what? Computer and other what? Devices. I mentioned the NIC, the network interface card, your modem, your router, your switch. Okay, they are all examples of communication devices. And that takes us to the last one, which is known as the peripheral devices. What do you mean by peripheral devices? They are additional devices that are connected to the computer to extend its functionality. Yes. Okay. If I want to play a game, I can connect my pad, all right, to my computer system. That my pad I just connected to my computer system is known as computer what? Peripheral. Why? Because I want to expand the functionality of my computer system. Example is your external hard drive, your webcam, your game controller. Okay. All right. So don't forget that. Then under the internal component, I've already talked about it. The motherboard, the CPU, the memory, that's the power supply, the storage. Examples are the keyboard, the monitor, the printer, and the what and the speaker. So